Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone when you're trying to explain something to them and just seen nothing? Just seen a blank, glazed look over their eyes? Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone when you're trying to explain something using technical terms, using all the language that you know because this is your area of expertise? Have you ever explained to someone your area of expertise and seen a blank look on their face? Why would that be? Why would that be? You're using all the right words, you're using all the technical terms, you're using all the jargon. Why would you get a blank look? It's quite simply, you've confused them. You have confused the people in front of you, and jargon doesn't impress, it depresses. There it is. Jargon doesn't impress people, it can depress people. Good morning and welcome to JTIntheRaw show 162, and we've got a bucket load of people on early this morning. Good morning, Eugene. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Susan. Everybody, how are you? I'm coming to you live from my backyard, and it is a beautiful day here in Sydney. We're expecting 30 degrees, which is a cracking day for spring, and you will hear the birds buzzing around me today. We just had the kookaburras out, so if you hear some funny noises, it's birds. Welcome to JTIntheRaw. For you, those that are joining for the first time, either on live or on replay, this is where I chew the thin on business, and after 30 years in business, I have just a few thins to chew. And today, I'm chewing the thin about jargon, about how we speak with prospects, how we speak with our current clients, and even how we speak with our staff when we start using technical terms and jargon that we understand, but they don't. Later in the show, I will give you 5 things you should do when trying to communicate your message to people, whether that is in print or whether that is in face-to-face. Few shout-outs this morning. Couple of quick shout-outs, if you will, just let me shout out. First one is show 161, last week's show. Big shout out to everybody that watched that show. Thank you. If you missed the show, I talked about getting your mindset right when key people leave. But more importantly, I also talked about Jersey Day here in Australia. Jersey Day is a day that is not a fundraising day. It's a day that promotes having conversations about organ donation with your family and friends. Some of you that watched last week committed in the comments to having those conversations because you had not yet had them. So this is the accountability side of things. If you watched last week's show, have you had that conversation with your loved ones about what, dare I say it, should happen on organ transfer for you if something bad should happen to you? Also, big shout out, thanks to Erin at CanFit Pro, which is a big organisation. G'day JB Hayes, how are you this morning up there in Brisbane, Vegas? You got a hot day up there too, I think. CanFit Pro, who have asked me to write a couple of articles for their magazine. Thank you, Erin. I apologise for those emails getting lost, but I'm on top of it, and today is writing day, so you will expect your first article to you tomorrow morning when you wake up. So thank you, CanFit Pro. Also, big shout out to the Athletic Business Show, the AB Show people. Thanks for confirming it. I'm looking forward to speaking at that event in Orlando in November. So if you're from the US and you want to get along to a fitness convention, fitness conference, probably a little bit different to perhaps what you've been to. There's a whole bunch of sessions going on, got some really exciting stuff, so AB Show. Also, huge shout out today to Exercise New Zealand. Exercise New Zealand are going to be taking on a couple of our projects and distributing some of our collateral throughout New Zealand. So we're really grateful to Richard and all the team from Exercise New Zealand. Thank you for sharing our ebooks with your customers, with your clients, your prospects, your people throughout New Zealand. Thank you for that. And finally, big shout out to anybody who listens to the Fitness Business Podcast. Anybody who listens to the Fitness Business Podcast, you have the opportunity to win a really cool set of noise-cancelling Bose headphones. All you need to go is to Fitness Business Podcast /win. And you can, if you give us a review, you will go in the draw to take away at the end of the month these headphones. So let's talk about jargon. I want to give you a couple examples first of using jargon and the impact that it has had. I was coming from a personal training background or an exercise specialist background into a sales role. And so when I was sitting down with people and I was explaining to them how they would get results in the gym, most people, as you know, when they came into a gym, they'd say, so yeah, I want to lose weight. And so I knew from my exercise background that if we could increase their muscle mass, then that would speed up their metabolism and burn fat. So what I would explain to them was, when you join the gym, we'll do some strength training. We'll take you to a point of fatigue. In other words, somewhere between 8 to 12 repetitions or somewhere around 120 seconds of pushing in and out of weights, working those muscles, increasing the muscle mass, increasing your metabolism, and with a faster metabolism, that means you're burning fat. Jargon, 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 bullshit. And what I didn't realize at the time, because I wasn't watching the prospect's body language close enough, is I was losing them. I was using all this technical language, all the language that I used to be able to use as an exercise specialist to impress people, and yet I lost them. All I had to do was use language that they would have understood, and I therefore would have got a better result in my sales. Another classic example is, and I know Nicole's on board this morning watching, when we're talking about core stability. We often talk about, as personal trainers, the deep muscles in our core, and what is the core, and it wraps around here and it wraps around there, and you need to suck this up and you need to do that. It's language that people just simply don't understand. So it's hard for them to conceptualize. When we're working with our team, and I've seen this firsthand, both being when I've delivered presentations and when I have sat in presentations and watched people's faces, is when we talk about sales and the results of sales, and we talk about closing rates and lead shows and lag measures. We talk about all of these technical terms and percentages, and the majority of people are looking at you or looking at the presenter, or looking at me rather, with this blank look, and they don't understand. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the problem that we have when we are trying to explain things to prospects in our marketing, when we're trying to explain things in the sales process, or when we're giving performance evaluations to our team. We know what we're saying, we're using the technical terms, or we're using the jargon, but they simply do not understand. We often see this in the world of legal world. Legal world have a whole vocabulary, a completely different vocabulary. And when you're dealing with legal people, they often speak in this language, which is like a foreign language. It's technical and it's jargon, and it loses us as the average person. Now, last weekend, when I wandered along to Athlete's Foot to buy Zoe a new pair of shoes, check these babies out. These are her new running shoes. Woohoo! These are for Little Athletics that start in a couple of weeks. Little ad there for Nike. Nike, if you're watching, I'm open to sponsorship, just saying. Tag Nike. Anybody want to tag Nike in the comments below? Free ad. No, seriously. When we went shopping last week for those shoes, the fit technician at the Athlete's Foot started using jargon and technical terms with Zoe about how she was walking. But what he added was his iPad and a video of how she walked. And so while he used technical terms, he was able to show her what that meant. In other words, the video translated the technical terms into a language that she could understand. Now, there is a very big clue for us. We have to be able to combine the language that we're using, perhaps with visual. So if we use jargon, if we use technical terms when dealing with prospects, when we're dealing in our marketing, when we're dealing with clients face to face, and when we're dealing with our team, using jargon will lose them. I've seen this with rugby players on the rugby field. When we use jargon and we're explaining how we're going to defend, our defensive pattern, people blank over because they don't understand the language we're using. So what do you do? How do you communicate so that people understand you? Well, here is 5 tips to help you out. 5 tips. And as I go through them, I love to know which one you really like, which one resonates with you. Number 1, I think, is the most important, and it's this. Use the words they would use. Use the words they would use. Forget your technical, forget your jargon. They know you're an expert. That's why they're coming to see you. So just use the words that they would use. If they say tummy, you use tummy. If they say they want to lose weight, then you say they want to lose weight. If they say they want to run faster, then you say you want to run faster. Use the language that they would use. Forget the jargon. Use their language. That's number 1. If you like number 1, give me a number 1 right now. Number 2 is use diagrams or images so that they can see what you're explaining. Technical terms and jargon sometimes is hard to put into layman's terms. So what do? If we've got a photo or we've got a picture or we've got a video that they can see, like the athlete's foot did, then what we can do is we can show them. Visually see what we're talking about will reduce the impact of that jargon and those technical terms. So number 2 is use diagrams or images. If you like that, give me a number 2 in the comments below. Number 3. This is a little bit more harder for us perhaps, but I love to use a metaphor to get away from those jargon and technical terms, or to interweave in those jargon and technical terms. Number 3 is use a metaphor. The metaphor again will help people see, but we're using a metaphor that they've probably already heard of, and so they can go, oh yeah, I can see that. So I now know what you're talking about. Oh, I can see that. So I now know what you're talking about. Number 3 is use a metaphor to explain what you want. Number 4 is a big one. Check that they understand. So when we're explaining what we're doing, whether we're using the metaphor, whether we're showing photos, whether we're using the language that they use, we need to check that they understand. So we simply say something like, so do you get what I mean? Can you see what I'm talking about? Tell me, do you understand what I've just said? We can even go one step further with that and say to them, particularly when we're working with team members, tell me what you just heard. Tell me what you just heard. Good evening, Alan Leach. How are you over there in Ireland? I saw yesterday the launch of Active Day in Ireland or something like that. What a great initiative that is, Alan. Congratulations to the Irish on trying to get more people active. You love any stories about more people moving more often. So, yeah, number 4 is we check the understanding. We check that they understand. Can you see what I mean? Does that make sense to you? And we're looking for that yes answer. If we're working with our team, if we've used jargon and technical terms on what we want them to do, we then just simply say to our team, you tell me what I just said. If you like number 4, give me a 4 in the comments below. Jamie, I love that metaphor. Start with the words. It's kind of like, yeah, I love that. And number 5, never, ever, ever, ever move on until they get what you're talking about. Whether you're dealing with a prospect, whether you are dealing with a current client, or whether you are dealing with a staff member, do not move on until they understand what you mean. So if you have to go back, start again, go through that metaphor again, go back and explain it. If you have to go back and show them a video or that picture again, go back. Until you get that yes answer, yes, I understand, yes, I can see what you were talking about, do not move on, because you will have lost them. Your whole message will fall flat and no action will take place. That action could be that you want them to ring up or check out your website or inquire. That action could be that you want them to buy the product, or that action could be something from your staff. Whatever that action is, they will not do that action unless they understand. G'day, Lance Erasmus. I'll see you on Sunday for a little athletics pick up of at registration day. Looking forward to that. New season starting soon. So number 5, never move on until the person in front of you gets it. They're my 5 tips to convert jargon and technical terms into a concept that people understand. Let me give you them again. I'm going to give you all 5. And if you're watching live or on replay, I want you to put in the comments below 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, which one resonates for you most. Here it is. Number 1, use the words they use. Don't use those technical terms. Number 2, use diagrams or images so that they can see what you are talking about. Number 3, use a metaphor. As Jamie said, use a metaphor. It's something like, number 4, check their understanding. Do you know what I mean? Can you see how this? And number 5, only move on when they get it. Only move on when they get what you're explaining about. Ladies and gentlemen, show 162, whether you're joining us now live or on replay, has been all about getting our message across, not using jargon, not using technical terms, so that we don't lose our prospects, so we don't lose our clients, and so we definitely don't lose our team. Eric, I didn't even see you there, you stealth watcher. Good morning, Eric. Thanks, Jamie, for sharing. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Scotty G. All right, what's happening next week for me? Next week, I am on the sales warpath. So next week, I am chatting with people who want to join the Industry Leaders Roundtable. This week, I got a great message from a former Roundtable member. Thanks, Scotty G. I appreciate that. It was a great day. Yes, 50 is a big number. So I got a great message this week from somebody who was on Roundtable who said, thanks to Roundtable, he has now been on a permanent holiday. I love that. Thanks, Lance. Thank you, sir. So if you are interested in the Industry Leaders Roundtable, and we'll have a chat next week about joining. You can be a personal trainer or an independent gym owner anywhere in Australia or New Zealand. If you are watching in the US, put Rex and I will connect you up with Eddie and you can have a chat with Eddie in the US. What else am I up to next week? Next week I am emceeing the Melbourne launch for a brand new fitness product called 20 Perfect. This is a great little program for studios, for gyms, as well as mobile trainers. So if you're interested to know about what 20 Perfect is, if you're in Melbourne, you can go to that launch. If you're in Sydney, theirs is the week after. So they're launching here in Australia. It's EMS training. It's a 20-minute workout, and it is a ripper of a thing to do. It's really cool. It's different. I'm really excited to MC that event. And my big one next week, is I'm writing a blog content strategy for my business. So I'm actually spending some time, I know it sounds weird, but combining content with marketing. And that way I want to get a return on investment on all my blogs, i.e. sales. So a whole blog content marketing strategy for the rest of this year. It's 3 months of content that I'm going to write over the next week. It's a big week. It's a big week. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been tuned to JTIntheRaw show 162, where we talked about how we convert our language of jargon and our technical terms into information that people will understand. So if you missed this show, go back and watch it again. Emma Barry, where in the world are you at the moment? That's what I want to know, Emma Barry. Where are you? Just interested. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show. What did you think? Did you get value out of those 5 strategies I talked about? Hopefully this will resonate with you. Very shareable show. Well, share it, Jamie. Hit the share button and send it across the world to anybody that you know, or tag them in the comments below. Quote of the week. Just use the language the people you're speaking with would use. Now, this is marketing. This is a face-to-face conversation. This is what you might put on your social media platform. This is what you write in an email. Whatever it may be, just use the language the people you're speaking with would use. One more time, quote of the week. Just use the language the people you're speaking with would use. Hey, thanks for tuning in to JTIntheRaw show 162. If you got any value out of the show, hit me up with a love heart right now, whether you're watching live or on replay. Love seeing those love hearts come on through. And please tag anybody in the comments that you think could get benefit out of the show, or hit the share button and share it as much as you like. I will not be offended with the amount of sharing that you give. In fact, I'll be eternally grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, have an awesome weekend. We've got our knockout semi-final for netball tomorrow. So I will catch you on the flip side.